When did your family make you choose between them and yourself? I'd been home from the hospital for 6 weeks when my older brother Garrett posted in the family group chat that he'd booked the venue for our parents' dual retirement party. My daughter Nora was latched onto me for the third straight hour, her tiny fists kneading my chest while my C-section scar pulled every time I shifted on the couch. I read the message 3 times before the words made sense. Locked in the reservation at Grandview Lodge for the weekend of November 12th, he wrote. Mom and Dad deserve the whole family there. Flight deals are good right now if you book soon. My mother replied with a string of heart emojis. Our whole family under one roof. I can't wait. My father sent a voice note. I could hear him choking up before he even started talking. This means the world to us. Both of you kids, all the grandkids, everyone together one last time before we start this new chapter. I looked down at Nora. Her eyes were half closed, milk drunk, but I knew she'd wake up screaming the second I tried to unlatch her. My nipples were cracked and bleeding. I hadn't slept more than 90 minutes at a stretch since we came home. My body still felt like it belonged to someone else. Garrett sent another message. I'll cover your ticket, Claire. Just book it. Babies fly all the time. I typed, can we talk? And deleted it. I typed, I'm not sure that's realistic right now, and deleted that too. My mother's next message appeared while I was still staring at the screen. Claire, I know you get anxious about everything, but this is really important. You'll be fine. Babies are tougher than you think. I put the phone face down on the couch. Nora stirred, whimpered, and I held my breath until she settled again. My postpartum anxiety had been worse than I expected. Every time she slept, I checked to make sure she was breathing. Every time she cried, I spiraled into a panic that I was doing something wrong. My body ached in places I didn't know could ache. The idea of getting on a plane, navigating an airport with a diaper bag and a stroller, and a baby who screamed if I put her down, sitting in a pressurized cabin while she wailed and strangers glared at me, then spending a weekend in a house full of people who would want to hold her and pass her around while I smiled and pretended I wasn't falling apart, made my chest go tight. But it was my parents' retirement party. They'd both taught for 35 years. My dad had coached soccer on weekends. My mom had hosted every holiday, every birthday, every milestone. This was the celebration they deserved. I picked up my phone. The group chat had moved on. My sister-in-law posted a photo of her kids holding a sign that said, Congrats, Grandma and Grandpa. My cousin wrote that she'd already booked her hotel. Garrett sent a gif of a plane taking off. I opened a private message to him. I'm not sure I can make this work. Nora's only 6 weeks old and she's not sleeping and I'm barely holding it together. The 3 dots appeared immediately. Claire, seriously? This is Mom and Dad. One weekend. You can't miss this because you're tired. Everyone's tired. You're a mom now. You figure it out. I stared at his message until the words blurred. I'll pay for the ticket, he wrote again. I'll pay for your hotel. You just have to show up. Don't be the one person who refuses to be there for them after everything they've done for us. Nora unlatched and started crying. I pulled her up to my shoulder, rocking automatically, my phone still glowing in my other hand. I spent the next 3 hours feeding Nora, changing her, walking her around the living room while she screamed, and watching the group chat light up with messages I couldn't bring myself to answer. My aunt posted a photo from my parents' wedding. My cousin shared a memory about my dad teaching her to ride a bike. Garrett sent a link to a flight comparison site with a note that said, seriously, book soon, or prices will jump. I didn't respond to any of it. By dinner time, my phone rang. My father's name appeared on the screen. I almost let it go to voicemail, but Nora had finally fallen asleep in her bassinet, and I knew if I didn't answer now, he'd just keep calling. Hey, Dad. Sweetheart. His voice was softer than usual. Careful. I wanted to check in. You've been quiet in the chat. Did you see Garrett's messages about the party? I saw them. And, are you going to book a flight? I closed my eyes. I'm not sure I can make it work right now. Nora's so little and the flight is really long, and I'm still recovering from the C-section. Silence on the other end. Then a long breath. Claire, this is really important to your mother and me. We've been planning this for months. The whole family is coming. I know it's important. I just don't know if I can handle a cross-country trip with a 6-week-old baby right now. Babies fly all the time. Your mother flew with you and Garrett when you were both infants. You were fine. I know, but Nora's not sleeping, and I'm barely sleeping, and my body is still... Claire. He cut me off and I heard something break in his voice. We're not going to be around forever. Your mother and I have given everything to this family. We thought you'd want to be there for this. We thought it mattered to you. My throat closed up. It does matter to me. Then why are we even having this conversation? I didn't have an answer that wouldn't sound selfish. I sat there holding the phone, listening to him breathe. I thought you'd be excited, he said quietly. I thought you'd want your daughter to be part of this memory. But if it's too much trouble, I guess we understand. Dad, it's not that... We'll talk later. I should go help your mother with dinner. He hung up before I could say anything else. I put the phone down and sat on the couch staring at nothing. Nora made a small sound in her sleep, and I froze, waiting to see if she'd wake up. She didn't. The group chat kept going. My mother posted a message about the menu she was planning. Someone asked about dietary restrictions. Garrett replied to every single message like he was the event coordinator. I watched it scroll past and felt like I was watching my family from behind glass. My phone buzzed with a private text from Garrett. If money's the issue, I can cover your hotel too. Just let me know what you need. I typed back, it's not about money. Then what is it about? Because from here, it looks like you're making excuses. I didn't reply. 20 minutes later, my mother posted in the group chat. I know everyone has busy lives, but I hope we can all make this work. I raised 3 kids without all the help people have now, and we flew with them as infants without any problems. Babies are resilient. Sometimes we just have to push through and do what needs to be done. I read it twice. 3 times. She hadn't tagged me, but I knew exactly who it was for. My sister-in-law replied with a thumbs up emoji. My aunt wrote, so true, Linda. I locked my phone and went to the kitchen. My hands were shaking while I filled a glass of water. I stood at the sink and drank it in one long swallow, then refilled it and drank that too. When my husband Ryan got home from work an hour later, I was sitting on the floor next to Nora's bassinet with my back against the couch. He dropped his bag by the door and crouched down next to me. You okay? My family wants me to fly across the country for my parents' retirement party. Garrett's paying for the ticket. My dad called and basically said I'm a terrible daughter if I don't go. My mom posted in the group chat about how she flew with babies and it was fine. Ryan sat down next to me. When's the party? November 12th, 6 weeks from now. Nora will be almost 3 months old by then. That's not as bad. I turned to look at him. You think I should go? I think your parents are getting older. I think this is a big deal for them. I think you might regret it if you don't show up. But what about Nora? What about me? I'm barely surviving right now. I know it's hard, but maybe getting out of the house would actually be good for you. You've been cooped up here for weeks. Getting out of the house is not the same as getting on a plane with a newborn and spending a weekend with my entire extended family. I'm just saying you don't want to look back in 10 years and wish you'd been there. I pulled my knees up to my chest. So you think I'm being unreasonable too? I didn't say that. You didn't have to. He reached for my hand, but I stood up before he could take it. Nora stirred in her bassinet, and I picked her up before she could start crying. She rooted against my shirt immediately, and I sat back down to feed her while Ryan watched me from the floor. I'm just trying to help, he said. I know, but I felt more alone than I had all day. The messages started the next morning before I'd even finished my first cup of coffee. Garrett posted in the group chat, updated head count for the venue, 47 confirmed, still waiting on Claire's RSVP. Need final numbers by end of week or we lose the deposit discount. My mother replied immediately. I'm sure she's just busy with the baby. Claire, honey, can you confirm today? I stared at my phone while Nora fussed in my arms. I'd been up since 4. My shirt had spit up on the shoulder and a wet spot where milk had leaked through my nursing pad. The idea of typing out a response that wouldn't start a fight felt impossible. Garrett sent me a private message 10 minutes later. Seriously need to know if you're coming. I'm coordinating travel for everyone and you're the only one who hasn't answered. I'm still figuring it out, I wrote back. What's there to figure out? It's a yes or no question. I didn't reply. By lunchtime, he'd sent 3 more messages with flight options, hotel recommendations, and a breakdown of the weekend schedule. Every message ended with some version of, just let me know ASAP. That afternoon, my father left a voicemail. I listened to it while Nora nursed, his voice coming through the speaker quiet and strained. Claire, it's Dad. I don't want to guilt you, but I need you to understand something. Your mother and I aren't getting any younger. We don't know how many more chances we'll have to get everyone together like this. This isn't just a party. It's a milestone. It's our whole lives coming full circle. I'm asking you as your father to please make this work. We need you there. I played it twice. The second time, I noticed the catch in his voice when he said, we need you there, and I felt something crack open in my chest. Nora unlatched and immediately started screaming. I spent the next hour trying to calm her down, walking circles around the living room, bouncing her, shushing her, checking her diaper, offering her the other side, and nothing worked. By the time she finally exhausted herself and fell asleep, I was shaking. My phone buzzed. My mother's name appeared on the screen. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. I thought I'd call and check on my granddaughter. How's she doing? She's sleeping right now. It's been a rough day. Oh, they all have rough days at that age. You were colicky for months. I just powered through it. I closed my eyes. Yeah. So listen, I wanted to ask you something. Have you given any more thought to the party? Your father is really hoping you'll be there. I'm still trying to figure out the logistics. What logistics? Garrett said he'd pay for everything. You just have to get on a plane. It's not that simple, Mom. Nora's only 6 weeks old. She's not sleeping. I'm not sleeping. My body is still recovering from the surgery. Claire, I had a C-section with Garrett and I was back to normal in 3 weeks. You just have to push through the discomfort. And as for the baby not sleeping, well, that's what babies do. You can't let that control your whole life. I felt my jaw tighten. I'm not letting it control my life. I'm just trying to be realistic about what I can handle right now. Have you lost the baby weight yet? The question hit me like a slap. What? I'm just asking. I know you've been stressed, and sometimes stress makes it harder to lose weight. I'm worried you're putting too much pressure on yourself. I'm 6 weeks postpartum, Mom. I know, honey. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying, maybe getting out of the house and being around family would be good for you. You sound like you're isolating yourself. I'm not isolating myself. I'm taking care of a newborn. Well, you also need to take care of yourself. And part of that is not letting anxiety control every decision you make. You've always been a worrier, but this seems extreme. My hand tightened around the phone. I'm not being extreme. I'm being careful. There's careful, and then there's overprotective. You don't want to raise a child who's afraid of everything because you were too anxious to let her experience the world. I didn't trust myself to respond. I made some excuse about Nora stirring and got off the phone as quickly as I could. I called the pediatrician's office the next morning. The nurse put me through to Dr. Patel, who listened while I explained the situation. So you're asking whether it's safe to fly with a 2-month-old? Basically, yes. And whether it's safe to have her around a lot of people indoors when she hasn't had any vaccinations yet. Dr. Patel was quiet for a moment. It's a personal choice. Babies do fly, and most of them are fine, but there are risks. Crowded airports and planes increase exposure to respiratory viruses and other illnesses. At her age, any fever means an automatic trip to the ER and a full workup, which is invasive and stressful for everyone. My job isn't to tell you what to do. I can just give you the information. So you're saying it's risky? I'm saying there are factors to consider. If you're asking my opinion, I'd say the safest choice is to avoid crowded public spaces until she's had at least her 2-month shots. But families make these decisions all the time based on their own circumstances. I thanked her and hung up feeling like I'd been given permission to trust my instincts. I posted in the family group chat that afternoon. I talked to Nora's pediatrician and she said it's risky to fly with an unvaccinated infant because of exposure to illness. I'm really uncomfortable putting her in that situation. Garrett's response came within minutes. Did you tell the doctor you were looking for a reason to say no? Because that's what this sounds like. My mother chimed in. Claire, I flew with both of you as babies and you were fine. Doctors today make everything sound like a crisis. You can't live your life in fear. My aunt posted a link to an article about helicopter parenting. Just something to think about, she wrote. I put my phone down and walked away from it. When I came back an hour later, the chat had moved on to discussing the menu, but I'd gotten 3 private messages. One from Garrett. You're making this so much harder than it needs to be. One from my mother. I'm disappointed in you. One from my cousin. I get it, but maybe just come for one day. It would mean a lot to your parents. Ryan came home that night and found me sitting on the bathroom floor crying while Nora slept in her bassinet in the hallway. What happened? I showed him the messages. He read them, his face tightening. Okay, so what if we drove instead? We could take our time, stop whenever we need to, avoid the airport completely. I looked up at him. That's a 3-day drive each way. So we make it a road trip. It might actually be easier than flying. Ryan, I can barely make it through a day at home. You want me to spend 6 days in a car with a newborn? I'm just trying to find a solution. I don't need a solution. I need you to tell me it's okay to say no. He crouched down next to me. I can't tell you what to do. This is your family. But I think you need to consider whether you'll regret missing this. Why does everyone keep saying that? Why is no one asking whether I'll regret going and having a breakdown in front of my entire family? Because they don't see it that way. They see a party. They see a celebration. They don't see what it costs you. So help me. Tell them I can't do it. Tell them to back off. He reached for my hand. I can't fight this battle for you. I pulled away. Then what good are you? The words came out sharper than I meant them, and I watched his face close off. He stood up, walked out of the bathroom, and I heard the bedroom door shut a few seconds later. I sat there alone, listening to Nora breathe in the hallway, and felt the walls closing in. The post appeared on my brother's Facebook page 3 days later. I was half asleep on the couch. Nora sprawled across my chest when my phone buzzed with a notification. Garrett had tagged the entire family in a photo of our parents from their wedding day. The caption reading, "Celebrating 2 people who gave us everything. Can't wait to honor them properly in November. So grateful the whole family will be there to show them what they mean to us." Within an hour, the comments started rolling in. My aunt wrote, "Can't wait to see everyone, especially that beautiful new baby." My cousin asked, "Is Claire bringing little Nora? I haven't met her yet." Someone I barely remembered from childhood posted, "Family is everything. This is going to be so special." I watched the notifications stack up, each one a small public pressure point. Garrett had tagged me directly in the post. Everyone could see it. Everyone was watching to see if I'd respond. The group chat lit up 30 seconds later. My mother had shared Garrett's post with a row of heart emojis and the message, "So excited to have everyone together. This is going to be a weekend we'll never forget." I locked my phone and set it face down on the couch. Nora stirred against me, and I held perfectly still until she settled again. My phone buzzed 3 more times in the next 10 minutes. I ignored it. When I finally picked it up again, I had 7 new comments on the Facebook post asking variations of the same question, all of them tagging me. "Will we see you there, Claire? Can't wait to meet your daughter. You're coming, right?" I opened a private chat with just Garrett and our younger sister Bailey, who'd been mostly quiet through all of this. Garrett had already sent 2 messages. "Did you see the post? Everyone's asking about you? You need to respond. You're making this awkward for mom and dad." I started typing and deleted it 3 times before I managed to write, "I haven't decided yet if I can make it work." The 3 dots appeared immediately. "Claire, what is wrong with you? This isn't about you. This is about mom and dad. Stop making everything so complicated." Bailey's message popped up below his. "Maybe just say you're trying to figure out logistics? People are starting to notice you haven't answered." "I shouldn't have to answer on social media," I wrote back. "This is between me and mom and dad." Garrett's response came fast. "It stopped being private when you made it a whole thing. Just say you're coming and book the flight. You've changed since you had the baby, and honestly, it's not a good look." I stared at that message until my vision blurred. "Changed how?" "You're making everything about your anxiety. You're using the baby as an excuse to avoid anything uncomfortable. The Claire I knew would never bail on something this important." I put the phone down before I could type something I'd regret. Nora woke up crying, and I spent the next 2 hours feeding her, changing her, and walking her around the apartment while my phone buzzed on the couch with notifications I couldn't bring myself to check. My 6-week postpartum checkup was the next morning. Ryan took the day off to come with me and watch Nora in the waiting room while I went back for the exam. The doctor checked my incision, asked the standard questions about bleeding and pain, and then pulled up a stool and looked at me directly. "How are you doing emotionally?" I opened my mouth to say fine and burst into tears instead. She handed me a tissue and waited. "I'm not sleeping. I can't stop checking to make sure the baby's breathing. My family wants me to fly across the country for a party, and I know I can't handle it, but everyone thinks I'm being ridiculous. And my husband thinks I should go, and I feel like I'm losing my mind." She made notes on her tablet. "Have you had thoughts of harming yourself or the baby?" "No, nothing like that. I just feel like I'm drowning and no one sees it. Your anxiety symptoms are elevated beyond what I'd consider typical for this stage postpartum. I'm going to refer you to a therapist who specializes in perinatal mental health. I also want you to know that what you're describing about the trip sounds completely overwhelming, and your concerns about flying with an unvaccinated infant are medically valid." I looked up at her. Really? Really? You're not overreacting. You're trying to protect your baby and yourself during an incredibly vulnerable time. That's not irrational. That's good parenting." I cried harder. She handed me another tissue. When I came back out to the waiting room, Ryan was rocking Nora in his arms, scrolling through his phone with his free hand. He looked up when he saw my face. "What happened?" "She referred me to a therapist. She said my anxiety is elevated." He nodded slowly. "Okay, that's good. That's a good step." We drove home in silence. When we got inside, he put Nora in her bassinet and turned to me. "I think therapy is a really good idea. It might help you feel more comfortable about the trip." I stared at him. "That's not what therapy is for." "I know. I just mean, if you're feeling this anxious about everything, maybe talking to someone will help you see that some of these fears are bigger in your head than they are in reality." The doctor said my concerns about the trip are valid. I'm sure she did, but she also referred you to therapy, which means she thinks you need support managing your anxiety. I walked away from him before the argument could escalate. I got the therapist's name and number from the referral that afternoon and called to schedule an appointment. They had an opening 2 days later. I took it. The therapist's name was Dr. Morgan. Her office was small and quiet, with a white noise machine running in the corner and a box of tissues on every surface. She asked me to explain what brought me in, and I told her everything. The party, the pressure, the messages, The feeling that I was failing everyone, no matter what I chose. She listened without interrupting, taking occasional notes. When I finished, she looked up at me. I want you to do something for me. I want you to describe in detail what going to this party would actually look like. Not the idea of it, the reality. Walk me through the weekend. I took a breath. I'd have to pack for me and Nora, which means diapers, wipes, bottles, pump parts, extra clothes, burp cloths, everything. I'd have to get us to the airport, check bags, go through security while carrying her and managing all our stuff. The flight is 5 hours, and it's a red eye, which means she'd be awake and screaming for most of it while everyone around me hates me. Dr. Morgan nodded. Keep going. We'd land exhausted. I'd have to pump in the airport bathroom or on the plane if I could find space. Then we'd get to my parents' house and everyone would want to hold her and pass her around and I'd have to smile and pretend I'm fine with it even though she hasn't had any shots yet and I'm terrified she'll get sick. My mother would comment on my weight or tell me I'm being overprotective. I wouldn't sleep because Nora doesn't sleep and we'd be in a strange place. The party would be loud and overwhelming and I'd spend the whole time trying to keep her calm while people asked me why I'm not enjoying myself. Then we'd have to do the whole trip in reverse to get home and I'd come back more exhausted than when I left. I stopped. My hands were shaking. That sounds like a nightmare, Dr. Morgan said quietly. It does, doesn't it? And yet you're considering doing it anyway. Because they're my parents. Because it's important to them. Because I don't want to be the person who ruins their celebration by not showing up. She wrote something down. We're going to work on that. But for now, I want you to sit with what you just described and ask yourself if that's something you're actually capable of doing right now, or if it's something you think you should be capable of doing. I didn't have an answer. My phone buzzed on the drive home. Garrett had sent a message to the family group chat. Final headcount is locked in with the venue. Need Claire's answer by Friday or we're moving forward without her. My father's text came 10 minutes later, just to me. I'm hurt that you're even hesitating about this. I thought family came first for you. I guess I was wrong. I pulled into the driveway and sat in the car staring at the messages until Nora started crying in her car seat behind me. I went back to Dr. Morgan's office 3 days later. Nora was strapped to my chest in the carrier because she'd screamed every time I tried to put her down that morning. I'd gotten maybe 2 hours of sleep. My hair was unwashed and pulled into a knot that hurt my scalp. I sat down in the chair across from her and started crying before she even asked how I was doing. I can't do this, I said. I can't go to the party and I can't tell them I'm not going and I can't keep living like this. Dr. Morgan handed me the tissue box. Tell me what happened since our last session. I told her about my father's text, about Garrett's deadline, about the group chat and the Facebook post and the comments from relatives I barely knew, about Ryan finally saying he'd support me, but only after weeks of suggesting I should just go, about lying awake at 3 a.m. with Nora crying in my arms, feeling like the worst daughter in the world for even considering saying no. She listened, nodding occasionally until I ran out of words. Can I ask you something? She said. I nodded. What if your job right now is not to be a good daughter, but to be a good mother to yourself and your child? The question hit me so hard I forgot to breathe for a second. What do you mean? I mean, you're 8 weeks postpartum. Your body is still healing. You're managing significant anxiety. You have a newborn who isn't sleeping. And instead of asking what you need, everyone in your family is asking what they need from you. What if the most important thing you can do right now is protect the small, fragile space you're trying to build for yourself and Nora? I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. But they're my parents. I know, and this is hard, but being a good daughter doesn't mean sacrificing your mental health and your baby's safety to avoid disappointing people. Sometimes it means trusting that the people who love you will understand when you need to take care of yourself first. They won't understand. They'll think I'm being selfish. Maybe. Or maybe some of them will, and some of them won't. And you'll learn something important about who's actually capable of supporting you during the hardest season of your life. I sat there holding the damp tissue, feeling something shift in my chest. No one has asked me what I need, I said quietly. Not once. They've asked me to consider their feelings, to think about my parents, to be realistic, to stop overreacting. But no one has asked me what I actually need right now. No, Dr. Morgan said. They haven't. And I keep waiting for someone to give me permission to say no, to tell me it's okay to choose myself and Nora. But that's not going to happen, is it? Probably not. I wiped my eyes. Nora squirmed against my chest and I rocked slightly, automatically, until she settled. So what do? You give yourself permission. You decide what you can handle, and you communicate that boundary clearly, and you let other people have their feelings about it. You stop trying to manage everyone's disappointment. That's not your job. I left her office feeling lighter and more terrified than I had in weeks. When I got home, I put Nora down for a nap and sat at the kitchen table with a notebook. I wrote out 2 scripts word for word like I was preparing for a play. The first one started with, I've thought about it and I'm going to make it work. The second one started with, I've thought about it and I can't come to the party. I wrote out everything I'd say in each scenario. Every explanation, every apology, every attempt to soften the blow. When Ryan came home from work, I was still sitting at the table staring at the 2 pages. What's that? Scripts. One where I say yes and one where I say no. He sat down across from me. Can I see them? I slid both pages across the table. He read them slowly, his face changing as he went. Read the first one out loud, he said. I picked it up. I've thought about it and I'm going to make it work. I know how much this means to you and Mom and Dad. Garrett, thank you for offering to cover the flight. I'll book something this week. I'm still nervous about flying with Nora, but I'll figure it out. I don't want to let anyone down. My voice cracked on the last sentence. I put the page down. Now read the second one, Ryan said. I picked it up. My hands were shaking. I've thought about it and I can't come to the party. I know how much this means to you and Mom and Dad, and I'm sorry. But I'm 8 weeks postpartum. Nora hasn't had any of her vaccinations yet, and my doctor and therapist both think traveling right now would be too much for me to handle. I love you all, and I want to celebrate this milestone, so I'd like to video call in during the party and maybe plan a visit in a few months when Nora's older and I'm in a better place. I hope you can understand. I set the page down. Ryan reached across the table and took my hand. Do you hear how different you sound in the second one? What do you mean? In the first one, you sound like you're apologizing for existing. In the second one, you sound like a person with actual needs. I looked at him. You think I should say no? I think you've been drowning and I didn't see it. I think I've been part of the problem by suggesting you should just push through. And I think if you get on that plane, you're going to come back worse than you are now. And I don't want that for you or Nora. Why didn't you say that 2 weeks ago? Because I didn't get it. I thought you were just anxious. I didn't understand how bad it really was until I heard you read that first script and realized you were willing to destroy yourself to avoid disappointing them. I started crying again. He got up and came around the table, crouching next to my chair. I'm sorry, he said. I should have backed you up from the start. I should have told them to back off. I'm backing you up now. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. I leaned into him and let myself cry until Nora woke up and needed me again. I spent the next day rehearsing what I'd say. I walked around the apartment with Nora in my arms, saying the words out loud over and over until they felt almost natural. I reminded myself that I wasn't responsible for their disappointment. I reminded myself that protecting my mental health wasn't selfish. I reminded myself that Dr. Morgan had said this was good parenting. I texted Garrett that evening. Can we talk tomorrow night? I want to give you my answer about the party. He replied immediately. Finally. Yes, I'll call you at 8. I spent the next day in a fog of adrenaline and dread. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach dropped. By the time 8 o'clock came, I felt like I might throw up. Ryan took Nora from me. I'll keep her in the bedroom. Take as long as you need. I sat on the couch with my phone in my hand. I pulled up the script I'd written and read it through one more time. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the paper. I took 3 deep breaths. I counted them. In through my nose, out through my mouth. Then I dialed my brother's number. Garrett answered on the second ring. Okay, good. So which flight are you booking? I found a nonstop that leaves Thursday afternoon if you want me to send you the link. Garrett, I need to tell you something. Yeah, what? I looked down at the script in my lap, but I didn't need it anymore. The words were already there. I'm not coming to the party. Silence. Then a short disbelieving laugh. What? I can't do it. I'm still recovering from the C-section. Nora hasn't had any vaccinations yet. My therapist and my doctor both said traveling right now would be too much for me to handle safely. I'm sorry, but I'm not coming. Are you serious right now? Yes. Claire, this is insane. This is Mom and Dad's retirement party. The whole family is going to be there. I've been coordinating this for months. I offered to pay for everything. What more do you want from me? I'm not asking you for anything. I'm telling you, I can't make this trip right now. Can't or won't? Both. His voice went hard. Do you have any idea how selfish this is? Do you understand what you're doing to them? They've been talking about this party for a year. They want their whole family there. They want to meet their granddaughter. And you're just going to bail because you're tired? I'm not bailing because I'm tired. I'm protecting my baby and my mental health. Protecting your baby from what? From her own grandparents? From people who love her? You're being paranoid. I'm being careful. There's a difference. No, you're being ridiculous. You've turned into someone I don't even recognize. The Claire I grew up with wouldn't do this. She wouldn't let anxiety control her entire life. My hands tightened around the phone. The Claire you grew up with didn't have a newborn baby and postpartum anxiety and a body that's still healing from major surgery. Plenty of people have babies and still show up for their families. You're not special. I'm not trying to be special. I'm trying to survive. By abandoning Mom and Dad when they need you most? Real nice. I'm not abandoning them. I love them. I want to celebrate with them. But I can't do it this way. Not right now. I'd like to video call in during the party. I'll send a gift. I'll plan a visit in a few months when Nora's older and I'm in a better place. A video call? Are you kidding me? That's what you're offering after everything they've done for you? It's what I can do right now. It's not good enough. I'm sorry you feel that way. You're making a huge mistake. They're going to be devastated. Everyone's going to know you couldn't be bothered to show up. And when they ask me why, what am I supposed to tell them? That you were too anxious? That you couldn't handle a simple plane ride? Tell them the truth. Tell them I'm doing what's best for my daughter and myself, and I hope they can understand. They won't understand. I don't understand. You're choosing to hurt them, and you're going to have to live with that. I know. Don't call me when you regret this. The line went dead. I sat there holding the phone, my whole body shaking. Nora started crying in the bedroom, and Ryan brought her out a moment later. How did it go? He hung up on me. Ryan handed me the baby. I'm sorry. He said I'm selfish. He said I'm making a huge mistake. He said they're going to be devastated. You knew he'd react like that. Knowing it and hearing it are different. I fed Nora on the couch while Ryan sat next to me. My phone stayed silent for almost an hour. Then it rang again. My mother's name appeared on the screen. I almost didn't answer, but I knew if I didn't, she'd just keep calling. Hi, Mom. Garrett just called me. Her voice was tight and cold. He said you're not coming to the party. That's right. I need you to explain this to me because I honestly do not understand. This is the most important event your father and I have had in years, and you're telling me you can't be bothered to show up? It's not that I can't be bothered. It's that I can't handle the trip right now. Nora's too young to fly safely. I'm still recovering. My mental health is your mental health. Everything is always about your mental health. Do you know how exhausting that is? Do you know how hard it is to be your mother when every single thing has to revolve around your anxiety? I felt something crack inside my chest. I'm sorry you feel that way. I flew with you and Garrett when you were both infants, and I didn't have any of the support you have now. I didn't have therapy. I didn't have a husband who took time off work. I just did what needed to be done because that's what mothers do. I'm doing what needs to be done for my daughter. No, you're hiding. You're using that baby as an excuse to avoid anything that makes you uncomfortable. You've always been like this. You've always needed everything to be perfect before you take any risks. And now you're passing that fear onto your child. I'm not hiding. I'm protecting her. From what? From family? From love? You're going to raise a child who's afraid of the world because you're too scared to live in it. My throat closed up. I hope you can understand that this is what I need to do right now. I love you and Dad. I want to celebrate with you. But I can't do it this way. I'd love to video call in, or plan a visit when Nora's older, or a video call. Garrett told me. That's insulting, Claire. That's worse than not coming at all. I'm doing the best I can. Your best isn't good enough. The words landed like a slap. I'm sorry you're disappointed, I said quietly. I really am. But my decision is final. Then I guess there's nothing else to say. Mom, she hung up. I put the phone down. Ryan reached for my hand, but I couldn't feel it. I couldn't feel anything except the echo of her voice saying, "Your best isn't good enough." Nora finished nursing and fell asleep in my arms. I sat there holding her, staring at nothing, until Ryan gently took her from me and carried her to the bassinet. My phone buzzed an hour later. A text from my father. "I got a call from your mother. I understand you've made your decision. I respect that, even though I wish things were different. I love you." I read it 3 times. It wasn't angry, it wasn't punishing, it was just sad. I wrote back, "I love you too. I'm sorry I can't be there. I hope we can celebrate together soon." He didn't reply. Over the next 2 weeks, the silence from my family was louder than any argument. Garrett didn't respond to a single message I sent. My mother didn't call. The group chat went quiet every time I posted anything, and then resumed the second I left. My cousin Bailey sent me a private message 5 days before the party. "Just so you know, people are talking. Some of them are really mad. Aunt Linda keeps saying she doesn't understand how you could do this to your parents. But my mom said she thinks you're brave. She said she wished she'd set boundaries like that when her kids were little." I read it sitting on my bedroom floor at 2 in the morning while Nora slept in her bassinet next to me. Another cousin, one I hadn't spoken to in years, sent me a message the next day. "I heard you're not coming to the party. I just wanted to say I get it. I had a breakdown after my second kid, and no one in the family understood. They all acted like I was being dramatic. Good for you for taking care of yourself." 2 people, out of 47. On the morning of the party, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. Nora had been up every 2 hours. My body ached. My head pounded. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about what was happening across the country without me. Ryan brought me coffee. "You okay?" "I don't know. You made the right choice." "Did I?" "Yes." I wasn't sure I believed him. That night, while the party was happening, I sat on the couch with Nora asleep on my chest. My cousin sent me photos. My parents cutting a cake. Garrett giving a speech. Everyone gathered around a table laughing. The room looked warm and full and happy. I scrolled through the photos one by one, my throat tight. Ryan sat down next to me. "You were brave." "I don't feel brave. I feel like I just blew up my relationship with my entire family because I couldn't handle one weekend." "You didn't blow anything up. You drew a boundary. That's different." "It doesn't feel different." He put his arm around me. "I know." I looked down at Nora, her tiny face slack with sleep, her fist curled against my shirt. She had no idea what I'd given up for her. She had no idea what it cost. But I did. I'd lost my role as the easy daughter, the one who showed up, the one who didn't make waves. I'd strained my relationship with my brother, maybe permanently. I'd disappointed my parents during one of the biggest moments of their lives. I'd become the person people talked about in quiet voices at family gatherings. But I'd also kept my baby safe. I'd protected my mental health when it was hanging by a thread. I'd stopped pretending I could do things I couldn't do. I'd chosen the small, quiet life in front of me instead of the one everyone else wanted me to live. The cost was high, but the alternative would have been higher. Nora stirred against my chest and I held her a little tighter. Ryan's hand rested on my shoulder. The apartment was quiet except for the sound of her breathing. For the first time in weeks, I felt something close to peace.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.